Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Fatherland, the Long Road expansion, World War III with a twist. This is an expansion designed by Mark Walker and published by Flying Pig Games. We've already taken a look at the Long Road on the channel, and now we're going to look at the expansion for that here, the Fatherland expansion, which brings in the West German forces. Remember, in the base game there were 35 extra counters, so Mark said, hey, let's throw in some East German units, and gave a couple of scenarios specific to the East German units in the game. So now we've got the West Germans involved, bringing in some extra units and scenarios for them. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this expansion is all about. May 27th, 1985, the battle for the Federal Republic of Germany rages on. From the east, the massive Soviet Red Army pours into West Germany. All that stands in their way are NATO's armies. Chief among those is the West German Army, the Bundeswehr. Fatherland is an expansion of Mark Walker's The Long Road, a World War III war game set in the heart of the battle for Europe. This expansion adds the Bundeswehr to the fray. Now you can command platoons of lethal Leopard tanks, companies of highly trained Panzer Grenadiers, tow missile-wielding Jaguars, and much more as you attempt to throw back the Soviets in 6 action-packed scenarios. Stuffed in the expansion is a complete set of large 1-inch West German combatants and a new mounted map on which many of the scenarios take place. Utilizing Mark Walker's Platoon Commander Deluxe system, Fatherland is a fast-action game expansion that you are sure to enjoy. Fatherland is not a complete game. You must own a copy of The Long Road to play. And inside we get a sheet of counters, a 17 by 22 inch mounted map, and a scenario book with 6 new scenarios. It's for ages 14 and up, 2 players, and the playing time is 156 minutes. I like those little specific numbers when they give those. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we get our scenario book, our counter sheet, and our mounted map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the expansion. And here's a look at the mounted map that comes with the expansion. Just like we saw at the Long Road, we get these beautifully done mounted maps and very easy to read. Love the varied terrain and big giant hexes to fit those big 1-inch counters. Geomorphic, so you can easily create any type of map layout you want as outside of the scenarios that come with this, as well as the base game. You want to create your own, you can easily throw these together and make any type of map layout you want. I'm curious to see how this is going to work alongside the base maps and the base game, and then maybe any other player created scenarios or further scenarios that will be coming out in YA magazine, how they'll tie all the maps together. Now we'll take a look at the counter sheet that comes with the expansion. We get a whole bunch of new toys to play around with here. We've got some Leopard 1 and 2s, Martyrs, Jaguars, Tornadoes. We've got some admin counters, more infantry, M113s, tow missiles, a whole lot more fun stuff to play with. And lastly, we'll take a look at the scenario book. Inside, we've got the Fatherland scenario explanation, as well as the Bundeswehr specific rules. It says here, as a member of NATO, West German forces use American NATO action cards. Armed mobs will behave slightly differently in Fatherland. Armed mobs do not count against stacking restrictions. Armed mobs will never attack West German units. The West German player may control armed mobs that are generated in a hex containing a West German combatant. The West German player may control armed mobs after a West German combatant moves into their hex, and then armed mobs controlled by the West Germans assume the morale of the best West German unit in the hex. So they're fighting for their homeland, and that means that the angry mobs are going to side with the troops and follow their lead. So pretty cool. Scenario 1, bypass. Scenario 2, rescue mission. And you can see they will be using maps from the base game. Scenario 3, escape. Scenario 4, Luftstreik pass. Scenario 5, the counterattack. And lastly, Scenario 6, the Gray Woods. And then we are at the end of the scenario book. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Fatherland, the Long Road expansion. This is an expansion designed by Mark Walker and is published by Flying Pig Games. Well, now we get the West Germans into the mix. We had the East Germans in the base game that Mark had thrown in. Now we have the West Germans. We get not only the cool toys, but we get 6 new specific scenarios for the West Germans, which are going to blend this map along with the base game maps together to create another aspect of the storyline. Now we've got 33 scenarios overall, 17 in the base campaign, which mixes the supernatural in. You've got the 10 historical and now the 6 new ones from Fatherland. I think it's pretty cool how he's changed it up now, adding in the mobs where they're not a problem necessarily for the West Germans. They actually are an asset, which makes sense. Their West Germans are fighting for their homeland, and the West German people are going to stand alongside with and work with the West German forces. So they're going to follow their lead. I think that's pretty cool. But again, fantastic value. 33 scenarios overall between the base game and the expansion, and you get a little bit of everything. Supernatural, and then standard real world alternate history wargaming into World War III 1985. So definitely looking forward to adding this one into the mix and checking it out. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you'd be curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.